What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the JuiceBox presented by Lock City. It's Wighty and Munz here today. Hope everyone's having a great week, obviously, and that you've had the opportunity to catch up with us in our premium tier here. Today, we have episode number 73 of the JuiceBox, which is going to be an outlook into the upcoming UFC Vegas 106 event this weekend in obviously Las Vegas, Nevada. But before we get into that, just another reminder, you can join our premium tier Discord at wap.com/lockcity for only $5 a month. As you know, this is going to get you access to every cheat sheet every day across all active major sports, access to picks from all 8 of our pro cappers, and tons of sports specific and stat specific data points on a daily basis to help you become a better sports bettor. We've been really hot in the Discord, whether it's the max play of the day, the MLB first pitch bets coming from Trey's plays, the nonstop footy heat coming from Lenny's channel. Bobby had a footy banger in there today too. Claw, myself, Munz, so on and so forth. We do daily picks in there. We have daily projections for all major sports. And of course, our Lock City cheat sheets that we're running daily for a ton of different sports and prop markets, every major active sport that's in season. So like we said on the previous podcast there, it is pretty insane that we do offer this all for only 16 cents a day, but we believe everyone should have access to all of these sports data points. We really do believe that everyone should become and will become a better sports bettor by joining in at Lock City. We're not going to charge you $50 a week like these other guys. You can get better results by only paying 16 cents a day. That's wap.com/lockcity, WHOP.com/lockcity. But we will get into what we are here to talk about today, and that is the UFC Vegas 106 event this weekend. Again, Las Vegas, Nevada. The main event here is going to be Gilbert Burns and Michael Morales. We have a pretty decent looking card this weekend. It's not one that I'm super excited about. I think we have a lot of bait lines here, a lot of like minus 500, minus 800 favorites that may not be warranted to be that long of lines. But without further ado, let's hop into it. Munz, how are you feeling about this card?
Pretty questionable card on my end. I'm not a huge fan of it. A couple nice fights on it for sure, but not something I'm exactly looking forward to. But let's dive right into this thing, shall we? So the first fight on the main card, we have Julian Erosa versus Melquizael Costa. Julian Erosa is coming into this one with a record of 31-12-0, being 9-6 in the UFC, 3-2-0 in his last 5 fights, and is on a current 3-fight win streak. He went 0-3 in his first attempt at the UFC, but since he has rejoined, he's been doing pretty decent. He has 26 wins by finish, 12 KO TKOs, and 14 submissions. Melquizael Costa is coming into this one with a record of 23-7-0, being 4-2-0 in the UFC. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights, and he is also on a 3-fight win streak currently. He has 15 wins by finish, 7 KO TKOs, and 8 by submission. If we look at the tail of the tape here, Julian holds both the height and reach advantage by a pretty significant amount, but he's also 7 years older than his opponent at 35, so this might play a pretty big factor. I did mention both guys are streaking, but I'm sticking to rule number 1 here. Don't go against the Brazilians. Pretty straightforward. I'm sticking with Melquizael Costa here.
I agree with you 100%. I'm going to go with my guy, Melquizael Costa, on this one as well. We had him against C-Rod as the max play of the day previously. He cashed us out on that, and I think he has the talent here to beat Julian Erosa on Saturday night. I think Costa's kicking ability is going to mix this one up pretty nicely. I think he finds a way to mix in his high kicks. He gets some work done probably on the lower legs, and I think he's more likely to finish the fight on top of also being more likely to take a decision win here. I think Erosa's only method to victory, at least that I see, and correct me if I'm wrong or if you see something different, is basically just avoiding danger over the course of 15 minutes, which I don't see happening in this one necessarily. I think both of these guys, dangerous fighters. Costa's going to bring the pressure. I think Erosa's going to be in there as well. I think it'll be a war for as long as it lasts, whether that's a couple of minutes or the full 15. I think we have fight of the night potential here on this one, and I'm going to go Melquizael Costa on the money line, minus 188. But I also like him to get it done inside the distance, either the plus 130 double chance for KO sub or just the KO at plus 210.
Yeah, I like both those as well. But still at minus 188, the money line, that's a pretty safe bet to take because, as you said, the only way that Julian could win is avoiding danger, and I don't think that's going to happen in the octagon. So, yeah, either one of those, great picks. All 3, great picks.
I love it. 1 for 1. Yeah,
one
for the
for
gammon
one.
rays out there, you can throw it on KO at plus 210.
If you're feeling like the Ray from VA. Okay, next up we have Dustin Stoltzfus versus Nursulton Ruziboev. Dustin Stoltzfus is coming into this one with a record of 16-6-0, being 3-5-0 in the UFC. He is 3-2 in his last 5 fights, and he keeps flip-flopping from wins and losses in those fights. He's coming off a KO win in his last and has 9 wins by finish, 3 KO TKOs, and 6 by submission. Nursulton is coming into this one with a record of 35-9-0, being 3-1-0 in the UFC. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He's coming off a TKO win in his last after losing to Joaquin Buckley and just the one before that. He has an astonishing 33 wins by finish, 13 KO TKOs, and 20 by submission. If we look at the tail of the tape on this one, Nursulton holds the slight reach advantage and a pretty decently significant height advantage. I believe they're both old guys, 35, 31 or something around those age, 33, 31, somewhere around there. But we're looking at Nursulton as a heavy favorite in this fight. He's minus 340 with Dustin as a plus 250. And I can honestly see why. I mean, the guy's a beast. 33 wins by finish of his 35 wins in total. Like, he's just finishing his opponents left and right. Pretty heavy favorite, like I said, at minus 340, but this one I'm sticking with Nursulton here.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I got to go Nursulton, Ruziboev on this one. I really like his style. I think his stand-up is great, and I think the only moderate question mark for me is whether or not he has success stuffing takedowns from Dustin Stoltzfus. I think Ruziboev was a massive welterweight, and there's no reason he should have been fighting at 170. He's 6'5". He's got a 76-inch reach. He's huge. His decision loss against Joaquin Buckley at 170, I think, is representative of that. He didn't have his best showing. I also think that fight aged pretty well because Joaquin Buckley is currently the favorite against Kamaru Usman in a couple of weeks. So I think his move back up to middleweight here is going to be super beneficial for Ruziboev, like we saw in the Eric McConical fight where Ruziboev put him to sleep in like 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes. I think it was early in the second round. So I'm with you on this. I'm going Ruziboev on the money line, minus 340. I also really like Ruziboev by knockout at minus 115. I think that's good value and very likely.
I mean, he's definitely getting a finish. Even a double chance would be a good pick here. I'm just pulling up the odds.
Yeah, it kind of nukes it.
Yeah, minus 185 for KO
know.
submission. That's what I would be looking at if I was going to take double chance.
Yeah, I could see like a club and sub if he knocks him. I mean, he's got some recent submission wins under his belt, but
yeah, so you know,
I don't know. I think the knockout's more likely. Money line for sure is super safe.
Definitely super safe at minus 340. Knockout at minus 115. Yeah, those are great odds to take. I like that. I like that a lot. I might ride with you on that one as a straight bet.
I like it.
Nice. All right, we're 2 for 2 so far. Let's move on to the next one. We got Sodiq Yusuff versus Mairon Santos. Sodiq Yusuff's coming into this one with a record of 13-4-0, being 6-3-0 in the UFC, 2-3 in his last 5, and is coming off 2 straight losses. He has 7 wins by finish, 6 KO TKOs, and 1 by submission. Mairon Santos is coming into this one with a record of 16-1-0, being 2-0-0 in the UFC. He's 4-1 in his last 5 and is on a current 3-fight win streak. He has 8 wins by finish, all coming by KO TKO. If we look at the tail of the tape on this one, Sodiq holds a slight height advantage with Mairon holding a slight reach advantage, but he's also 7 years younger than Sodiq. So not to say that Sodiq might not have the stamina and endurance, but I think Mairon just from age alone might have more. It's going to be a close one, and the odds reflect that. You have Sodiq Yusuff at plus 110 and Mairon Santos at minus 140. This was a tough one for me, but I'm sticking with Mairon, the Brazilian.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really undecided on this one. A few considerations, I think, that come into play when I look at this fight are styles, obviously. So I think this will mostly be stand and bang. The thing that has me reluctant to pick Mairon Santos here is the fact that, like we said prior to recording here, Sodiq Yusuff's only recent losses have come to Edson Barbosa and Diego Lopez. I think both of those guys beat Mairon Santos, but I do think Mairon Santos is more technically sound if we're just comparing apples to apples. I think Mairon Santos is more technically sound than Sodiq Yusuff. He is 7 years younger, so he's only 24. He's coming into his prime. He's definitely probably got an endurance advantage, like you were saying here. I don't know if this is too much of a jump for him. I know Sodiq Yusuff got chinned really, really badly against Diego Lopez. He did damage to Edson Barbosa, but it was an aged Edson Barbosa, and he still lost that fight by unanimous decision. Um, I believe in the potential of Mairon Santos, but like I said, I think this is a huge step up for him. It could go either way. I'll ride with you on Mairon Santos, but I would not at all be surprised if Sodiq Yusuff won a decision here.
Yeah, it can go either way. It can really go either way. The main reason for me is he's younger. He came into the UFC hot 2-0. 8 wins of his 16 come by finish. So half of his wins are by finish, all by KOs. So I don't know. I think he's got something to prove here. I think he's got something to prove, and I think he's going to prove it and show us all why he's on this card going up against a fighter like Sodiq Yusuff.
And why his nickname is the Legend.
The legend, Mairon Santos.
We're going to find out whether that holds
yes,
true.
we will. But that puts us 3 for 3 so far. Alrighty. Moving on to the next one, we have Rodolfo Bellato versus Paul Craig. So, Rodolfo Bellato is coming into this one with a record of 12-2-1, being 1-0-1 in the UFC. He's 4-0-1 in his last 5 and is coming off a draw to Jimmy Crute to put a halt to his 4-fight win streak. He has 11 wins by finish, 7 KO, 2 KOs, and 4 by submission. Paul Craig is coming into this one with a record of 17-9-0, being 9-9-1 in the UFC, 1-4 in his last 5, and is coming off 3 straight losses by submission, KO, and decision. I like to call that the Holy Trinity. He has 17 wins by finish, 3 KO, 2 KOs, and 13 submissions. If we look at the tail of the tape, Rodolfo holds a slight reach advantage, both being the exact same height. One thing to note is Rodolfo is 8 years younger than his opponent, Paul Craig. Let's see how you're feeling. I know how I'm feeling. Let's see how you're feeling about this.
I think you're going with Paul Bearju Craig on this one.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
This is an absolute mess of a co-main event, I think. But I'm gonna go Rodolfo Bellato, I guess. I think the odds are horrible. I don't like minus 500, but I think Bellato has the ability to catch Paul Craig probably with some power shots here standing up. I don't know if Craig fought his Bo Nickel fight like kind of worried about takedowns, but he got outstruck by Bo Nickel, which is not a good look. He got out kickboxed by Bo Nickel, and we obviously saw Bo Nickel get fraud checked the weekend before last at UFC Des Moines. So the big worry here, I think, for Bellato is that his ground game is horrible. I could see him giving up top position, getting pounded, or putting into a triangle choke, or even giving up his back and getting RNC'd. I think his fight IQ on the ground is just atrocious, and probably as horrible as Paul Craig's stand-up game. So the fact that the fight starts standing up, I think makes me want to lean Bellato just because he has better stand-up. Maybe he can stuff a couple takedowns. So for call the card, I'm going to go Rodolfo Bellato at a ridiculous minus 520. I think it's in, but I don't think I'm going to put this in very many plays. I might sprinkle a Paul Craig submission just because it's like plus 800. Because if he wins, he's going to submit him, and Rodolfo Bellato's ground game is just horrendous. But I think Rodolfo Bellato wins this fight. He should win this fight, and I'm going to go with him on the money line for call the card.
He definitely wins this fight. He's definitely getting the finish. Which type of finish? I don't know. He could submit him. He hasn't had a submission in a while. But he's Brazilian. And one thing that these Brazilians do is jiu-jitsu. So I think he's probably been working on his ground game.
He's horrible.
I know, but I think he's been working on it. Like it's pretty evident to us and even to himself. Like that's his weakness. That's the thing that he has to focus on the most. And who knows? He could have sharpened his skill. I think he definitely sharpened his skills. Is he going to be great? Probably not. Is he going to win the fight? Yes. Is it going to go the distance? No. And me personally, I'd probably take under 1.5 rounds at minus 140. But regardless, my pick here is Rodolfo Bellato. If you want to get spicy, under 1.5 rounds at minus 140. But the ugly odds at minus 520. Rodolfo Bellato from both of us.
Yep.
Well, if you don't like minus 500 odds, you're going to hate the odds for this next fight. Our main event, Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales. Gilbert Burns is coming into this one with a record of 22-8-0, being 15-8-0 in the UFC. Bit of a veteran here. He's 2-3 in his last 5, coming off 3 straight losses. He has 15 wins by finish, 6 KO TKOs, and 9 by submission. Michael Morales is coming into this one with a record of 17-0-0, being 5-0-0 in the UFC, and obviously undefeated, so he finds himself on a 17-fight win streak. He has 13 wins by finish, or sorry. Whoa, guys. Hold on here.
Whoa.
Hold on. Why am I giving myself some typos here?
Is it
Yeah.
Big Durino?
He has 13 wins by finish, 12 KO TKOs, and 1 by submission. If we look at the tail of the tape, Michael holds the reach and height advantage by a pretty significant amount, while also being 13 years younger than Gilbert Burns. As much as I love Gilbert, as much as I love the Brazilians, you know, it's rule number 1, don't go against them, and he might burn me here for that. But I think this is an exit for Gilbert. I think this might be the end for him, maybe even a retirement fight, win or lose. I think they're just setting him up for a loss on this one. I'm sticking with Michael Morales at the ugly odds of -800.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you here, and that's going to put us the same on all 5 of these fights, which is great. I think this is one of those big prove yourself fights for Michael Morales. He's such an incredible striker. He's a dangerous fighter, and personally one of my favorite prospects in the UFC. Really fun to watch. His wrestling looks good. I think ultimately that's where he's going to have to prove himself here more than anything on Saturday night, is once the fight hits the ground with Gilbert Burns. Burns has only recently fought the best of the best, and as such, he's only lost to the best of the best. For reference here, Gilbert Burns, for a while, he was even controlling and bringing it to Jack Della Maddalena, who, as everyone obviously knows, is the new welterweight champion. So the fact that we're seeing Morales as a -800 favorite here is a bit crazy, and almost makes me kind of want to take the other side with a sprinkle, but ultimately I can't. Morales is 13 years younger. He's got an 8-inch reach advantage. If he can stuff takedowns, and if he can prove that he can outmuscle Burns and not get put into any sort of like a compromised position, this fight should be his all day long. So unfortunately for Call the Card, like Munz said, this is -800. So we'll lay that down for the money line. I don't see myself betting too heavily on the money line in terms of parlays aside from Call the Card. I think Morales by knockout at -140. I know it's Gilbert Burns, but I think the knockout at -140 is a nice line. I also can't keep my eyes off of Gilbert Burns' submission at +1200 and Gilbert Burns' decision at +1200. Because if you split a unit on those, you're basically getting Burns for +600, which is way better than the +450 he is on the money line. So I kind of like that, just in case he wins, as a hedge. But ultimately, I'm going to go Morales on the money line. I would just hate if this was last fight of the night on Call the Card and we flop on a -800. So for that reason, I might hedge it with some Burns methods here. But Michael Morales all day on the money line for Call the Card.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I mean, if we look, there's one fight to me that stands out. I think it was with Gilbert Burns. Let me just correct myself here before I go off.
Yeah. Like his only 3 losses recently were Bilal, who was the champion up until Saturday, Jack Della Maddalena, who's the new champion, and Sean Brady, who's the #1 contender.
And there was the decision loss to Khamzat Chimaev. Everybody thought he was going to get finished within 3 rounds there. I believe it was 3 rounds. Yeah, 3 rounds. They all thought he was going to get finished, but the guy stood his ground, and I'm pretty sure, if my memory isn't failing me here, I think he hurt Khamzat at one point. Like, Khamzat was at a risk of getting finished in that fight at one point, I think.
Yep.
I could be wrong.
Him down.
So, yeah. So, it's tough. It's really tough. It is tough,
yeah,
but
I agree.
Oh man, I could see it happening. Actually, I could actually see it happening.
I could for sure. Like Burns beat Masvidal, he beat Neil Magny, he beat Wonderboy Thompson. His only losses are that Khamzat fight, Bilal, JDM, Sean Brady, and then Kamaru Usman. So like,
and at some point that always got to go. All right, guys, you're witnessing here right now the first time ever Munz flipping on a pick live in the podcast. I'm going Gilbert Burns for this one. Money line straight up. I'm taking Gilbert. I can see it happening. I'm manifesting it. I'm envisioning it. Don't go against the Brazilians. I'm Brazilians for every fight on this card. Yeah, I'm going with Gilbert. I think he's gonna win, and he's gonna retire on that win. That's
Yeah,
it.
the only
That's it
person
for
to
me.
finish him was Jack Della Maddalena, really, on Usman. But like everybody else in the UFC's gone decision. I'm definitely going to sprinkle it. I'm going to keep Michael Morales for call the card purposes. But I'm definitely sprinkling Gilbert Burns, and I'm definitely throwing in a couple parlays because that plus 1200 for submission and plus 1200 for decision, I don't think he's going to knock Morales out. So I think that's pretty juicy.
I just, yeah, I'm taking Gilbert Burns, man. I feel good about it. I feel good about it. I might regret it. It might burn me, but Brazilian all day for me on this one and this whole card. That's 4 fights with Brazilians. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. I'm
Yeah,
sticking
he
with
did
it.
do that.
I'm sticking with it. What are you thinking for
He
call the
is
card?
13 years older.
Or not call the card, sorry, for the JuiceBox Lock. He's 13 years older. He's got that grown man strength. This kid's what, 25?
Yeah, what
He's
about
still a kid.
Sodiq Yusuff?
That's a different story.
That's fair. I think for for you almost had me say call the card. I think for the juice box lock, we should go with Melquizael Costa and Nursulton Ruziboev. If you throw those two together on the money line, it's exactly even money. Well,
I
now it's
like
plus
that.
102. It's just adjusted in real time, but
I like that. I like
basically
that a
even money.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm down
I
for
think
that.
that's really safe.
I'm down for that.
Alrighty, we'll lock that in. So for those of you that are in the Discord there, expect to see this play drop shortly after the podcast drops here in a couple of moments. For those of you on YouTube, we'll probably just drop it on Friday or Saturday, keep it a little bit closer to the fight there for the juice box lock. But of course, the podcast here coming out at the same time. And for those of you listening that are not either subscribed or following along with us on Twitter, make sure to do so. We have 2 Twitters, LC Juicebox Pod for our Juicebox podcast, and _ Lock City for our main Twitter, where we drop all of our cheat sheets and majority of our free plays. And for those of you that want our premium content, like we said at the beginning there, only $5 a month or 16 cents a day. That's wap.com/Lock City. Anything additional, Munz?
Nothing from me except good luck to you all. I hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you guys in the Discord.